What's up, you guys? Welcome back. Today I am super excited because we're gonna be doing a dupe video or affordable alternative video. I feel like the word dupe is so overused, but the products that I have in today's video are honestly affordable products that are better than the high-end version in most cases, if not the same thing. So I'm gonna save you some coin and show you guys amazing affordable options for some really popular high-end products. But the affordable options are ones that I literally use in like my everyday life that are so stinking good. So without further ado, make sure you guys subscribe to my channel if you have not already, and click the little bell right next to the subscribe button so you're notified of all my future uploads, and let's go ahead and get started. Okay, up first, we're talking about a hair dupe that is literally, honestly, something that I choose over the high-end alternative. This is the Life in SC. This is a blow dryer. I have used their blow dryers actually for years now. You can go back a couple years ago and see me still using this, just an older version. This hair dryer works very similarly to the Dyson, and honestly, I have the Dyson and pick this up more often than I do pick up my Dyson because of the features that it has, and honestly, that it dries my hair quicker. I can blow dry my full head of hair in 10 minutes with this. I do have finer hair, so obviously if you have like super thick hair, may take you a little bit longer than me, but 10 minutes, my hair will be bone dry when using this. And styles, I literally just did it right before I filmed this video. It's super powerful, so it's less time consuming. Y'all know I'm a new mom. I don't have a ton of time to be blow drying my hair, so it definitely helps me save some time. It's also very light, which is nice. It's not gonna be one of those blow dryers that starts hurting your arm like halfway through. No. It does have a built-in ionic system as well, which helps to reduce frizz. It makes my hair super shiny and smooth, but what I really do like is even though it's faster, it's not just frying off my hair, because some hair dryers that I've tried in the past are just like so high heat and they're just frying off my hair. Like, yeah, it's drying my hair faster, but like at a price. This one has a lot of cool features. When you turn it on, there's 4 different heat settings. So there's a cool setting, a warm setting, a hot setting, and then my personal favorite, which is the hot and cold cycling mode, which will actually cycle through both hot and cold air while you're blow drying your hair. And even when I use that, it doesn't take me any longer to blow dry my hair, but I'm using less heat while doing so. So I really like to use that setting, and it cycles through on its own. I think it's every 2 seconds it changes. Also, these attachments are magnetic, so it's so easy to take them on and off. And even if I wanna like use the diffuser, literally like boom. And you can switch out super easily, which I like. Also, I mean, the color is beautiful. I have the pink one. They also have this beautiful purple if you're a purple girly. Another thing I like too is this is pretty quiet for a hairdryer. I'm gonna turn it all the way up so you guys can hear. Like, you can still have a conversation with somebody when this is on. So if you have been eyeing the Dyson or any of those expensive hair dryers, honestly, I would highly recommend checking this out. Like I said, from somebody that has both, I grabbed this all the time. It's a fabulous product and way cheaper, much more affordable, but you're not gonna sacrifice on quality. Like, this is a very, very, very nice hair dryer. So an absolutely amazing, affordable alternative, honestly, that is just as good, if not better. So I will link it down below if you guys wanna check it out. Thank you so much to Lifein for partnering with me on this section of today's video. So check the description box if you wanna shop. Alrighty, now let's jump into some of the makeup. First one I wanna show you guys, so for a lot of these, I have the more expensive alternative and the affordable alternative. This one, I do not have the more expensive alternative. However, I have tried it, and as soon as I tried this Milani Conceal and Perfect Blur Out Smoothing Primer, I was like, what does this remind me of? And then immediately I was like, oh yes, the Tatcha Silk Canvas primer. That was like super viral a couple years ago. Really beautiful primer, but at a high price point. I mean, Tatcha obviously has expensive products. This new Milani primer is super similar, has a little spatula where you can get the product out. As a girly with nails, I appreciate that, but this is super blurring to the skin, kind of has like a cooling feeling. And honestly, I like this one better than the Tatcha one, because the Tatcha one was a little bit of like a harder surface. This one just like blends and morphs into the skin really easily. It's like a softer product, so I feel like it is easier to apply, but gives that same blurred out, smoothed effect, and also like totally fills in where you might have enlarged pores, which for me is like right in this area. So that's where I love like a good pore smoothing primer. And this one is super similar to that Tatcha Silk Canvas, but not at that Tatcha price point. So we love that. Okay, up next, we've got to talk about this new Maybelline foundation. So I've showed this on my channel already, but this is really, really good. This is the new Maybelline Lumi Matte Foundation, which is such an interesting name because Lumi and Matte kind of like are the opposites. But when I tried this, it worked beautifully, and I immediately started to think of other like soft matte high-end foundations. I feel like that's like the terminology that a lot of the high-end foundations use, is soft matte, which basically has a very similar finish to this Lumi Matte. It's a matte but not drying finish, which is personally one of my favorites, and instantly I thought about this foundation. This is the Fenty Pro Filter Soft Matte Longwear Foundation. Beautiful foundation from Fenty. However, this one is very, very similar from Maybelline and is coming in as a much cheaper price point. The finish, the coverage, everything is super similar. I am gonna try and show you guys them both on the face. However, this Fenty one, like this color is not looking like a match for me whatsoever at all. This is shade 250, but I wanna at least put a little on the skin. This is definitely gonna be very yellow, but to show you guys the similar finish. So this is like a medium to buildable coverage foundation. It's gonna cover up redness, anything you kind of have going on, and it has that soft matte finish, meaning that it is a matte, but it's not going to make your face super, super dry. So it's not super matte, which a lot of like mattifying foundations can be. And as somebody with dry skin, that just doesn't work for me. Although I do like a matte finish. I just need something that's not gonna be drying. So, I mean, pretty product. However, the Maybelline Lumi Matte is essentially the same thing. I'm using shade 129 in this, which I think will be a better shade for me. It's a bit cooler. This is very similar, giving you that good medium to buildable coverage depending on how much you use. Obviously, I just used one pump, which for me is giving me enough coverage, and it does not give you a glowy finish. It's still on the matte side. However, it does not feel drying or anything on the skin. So again, two very different colors of foundation, so don't judge it on that, but the actual formulation is quite similar on these. So I would say if you like a matte look to the skin, but you don't want your skin to feel dry, or you have drier skin and you want like a soft matte foundation, I would highly recommend trying this. There are a lot of other like high-end soft matte foundations too, where I feel like this is one of the first we've seen from the drugstore that really did it right, making a true soft matte or Lumi Matte as Maybelline is calling it. But really beautiful foundation and quite similar. I'm gonna just kind of like blend it over on this side now so it doesn't look like we have two totally different colors on the face. And as far as wear goes too, because that's something I always get questions about when I talk about dupes, like, yeah, just because they look the same when they go on, do they wear the same? This foundation wears fabulously, the Maybelline. No issue with this wearing all day on the skin. The Fenty one also wears well, but I wouldn't say that the Maybelline wears any less. Like, it's not like halfway through the day, it's gonna be off your face. I did not find that. Okay, I think we like, kind of blended the colors together good enough. I don't think either really was a great match for me, to be honest with you. I need to get new shades from both of them, but this is more about the formulation, less about the color. Okay, just realized next that we have another Fenty product, and not to dog on Fenty, honestly, because a lot of their products I do love. However, and this, interestingly enough, is another Maybelline product. I did not plan this. These work very, very similarly as well. This is the Fenty Matchstick Cream sort of bronzer. I'll put it on this side where I did the Fenty foundation, but this is shade Truffle. It's kind of like a bronzy sort of shade, definitely more warmer toned. Blends nicely. I like the little stick form. It makes it easy. I prefer a stick than like a potted cream bronzer personally, but if I'm gonna spend a high-end price on a cream bronzer, I wanna make sure that it's like, you know, worth that money and I can't get something better at the drugstore. And y'all know my love for the Maybelline lifter sticks. I really, really love these. These can be used for a bunch of different things. They're basically a multi-use product, so you can use them all over as foundation, you can use them as concealer, highlight, bronzer, contour, whatever you want. But the shade that I'm using is 70, which for me is like my perfect kind of bronzer shade, we'll say, like bronzer contour shade, and it's very similar. It is a warm tone brown and honestly blends a little bit better. It's a little more buttery than the Fenty one is, and works quite similarly for a much cheaper price. So definitely an easy, affordable swap to make to save a couple dollars, because this is a fabulous product. I really, really like it. Okay, up next we have a dupe that I have talked about many times, although I never see anybody else talking about it, so I have to continue shedding light on it. Y'all know, if you've watched me for a while, Tarte Shape Tape is one of my favorite concealers. It's an OG, it's great. If you need to cover up something, this is gonna do it. Fabulous, full coverage, long wearing concealer. It has a great coverage, a great lasting time. Like, this is not gonna budge on your skin. It is matte. Some people say that this is too drying for them. Honestly, I have dry skin and never had an issue with Shape Tape being too drying on my under eyes. They do have like a creamy version, but their original OG is my favorite, and it's a beautiful product. And I think a lot of drugstore brands tried to dupe this product. You know, like e.l.f. has the camo, and that's good, but it's not exactly the same as Shape Tape. I would still say that Shape Tape is better. However, Kokie, which is not a huge drugstore brand, they used to have them at like Rite Aid and Walgreens and stuff. Now you can get them online. They have them on Amazon, and they do have their own website. And I think perhaps some drugstores may still carry them, but in my area, it's hard to find these. But this is their Double Time Full Coverage Concealer, and this really is very similar to Shape Tape, and I think this is like $10 or maybe even $8 compared to, I think Shape Tape is up to almost $30 at this point. So this concealer is essentially kind of the same. Wow, I just looked online, $32 Shape Tape is. So yeah, again, definitely a cheaper product, but gonna give you that full coverage that's gonna last. The shade I have in this is a little lighter than the shade I have in Shape Tape, so it's probably gonna end up looking a little different underneath the eyes, but it's full coverage, flawless finish, gonna last, not gonna budge, and much cheaper price point, and a beautiful concealer that I really like. So I reach for this all the time. And again, the shade I used is a lot lighter, so it looks like more bright underneath my eyes, but they work incredibly similarly. And this is one of the best kind of affordable swaps, I feel like, that I have found. And not enough people talk about Kokie. They deserve their graces. They really are. They make good products, and this concealer is one of my faves. Also totally random, and this is unfortunately not an affordable find, but this Hourglass brush, I have been loving this to blend out my concealer. It's fabulous. There's not a name on it. It just says Hourglass, but this brush, really good. Okay, up next we have a newer find that I am so happy about. Also a less talked about drugstore brand versus one of my favorite products. This is the Laura Mercier translucent loose setting powder in the shade Rose. This is specifically their tone up powder, and I have loved this. This is a product that not a lot of people talk about either, but it's flawless. So I'm gonna use this to set my under eyes, but ever since I fell in love with this product, obviously it's Laura Mercier, it's not a cheap product. I have been trying to look for like a drugstore alternative to it. And it's been very hard because a lot of drugstore powders are just not, they don't do it for me. I think because I have dry skin, high-end powders just end up working a little bit better because they tend to be less drying or powdery on me. I don't know, but this has just always been a favorite of mine, and I could never find a brand that replicated this sort of shade of pink because it's pink, but it's more so just brightening on the under eyes. It doesn't leave this pink really color underneath your eyes. It's just very brightening. So it's like a light pink, I guess. And I recently tried the Catrice Under Eye Brightening Setting Powder, which they came out with like an under eye brightening setting like cream a while back. But they recently just came out with this powder, and it's very similar. It's like a light pink, and it works very similarly underneath the eyes, which I love. I will say I like the Laura Mercier one a little bit better, but this is very similar and literally like half the price, if not less than that. So, I mean, you guys are gonna get to see them right next to each other in action. They work super similarly. This is not drying to the under eyes. It gives you that brightness, but doesn't leave a pink cast. Like, it's not looking like a pink under eye. It's just leaving you with brightness. And I mean, do you really see a huge difference? No, and there's a big difference in price. However, I will say there is a big difference in the amount of product that you're going to be getting with these. Typically, this is mostly used for your under eye area. So this is kind of a lot of powder. Not that you can't use this all over your face, but the pink powder specifically are for like brightening. So I typically use them on my under eyes, and then I'll use like a translucent powder for the rest of my face. So if you just get this for your under eyes, it's gonna last a very long time because it's a lot of product. This is a lot less product because, again, specifically marketed to be used on the under eye area to brighten, so you need less product. But in this, you're getting 0.08 ounces, and in the Laura Mercier, you are getting a full 1 ounce. So difference in product, the amount of product that you're getting. But if you're somebody that's not gonna go through, you know, 1 ounce of product in like a year underneath your eyes, then maybe get this one because it's less product and it's cheaper and works super similarly. So did just wanna call out when there's like a vast difference in the amount of product you're getting. Okay, up next we have a brow gel. I'm going to fill in my brows real quick though. And honestly, I'm using a drugstore product to fill in my brows. This is the L'Oreal Brow Stylist Definer, which, if you guys have watched me for a while, you know I love this product. Great alternative to most high-end brow pencils. Honestly, when it comes to like fine little micro tip brow pencils like this, you don't really need to be buying high-end ones. The drugstore has fabulous options, this being one of them. And if you're anything like me, I go through these like water. Like, I feel like it's one of my most repurchased makeup products is my brow pen because I use it all the time. And so saving those extra dollars and like getting a drugstore version that's quite literally just as good will be super helpful. I'm just gonna lightly fill in my brows with this. Now, next we have brow gel. This is a category that I would say a lot of times the higher end brow gels outperform the drugstore ones because a bad brow gel can really wonk up your brows and like ruin the whole look. But one of the most popular high end brow gels is this one from Refy. It is a nice brow gel. It's like a white color. I've used like almost all of this. I gotta get some out to show you guys, but it does have this at the top, which was like if you have, you know, unruly brows or whatever, like you could really go in and groom your brows with this, which I feel like made it a little bit different at the time when they first came out with this. And this is a good brow gel. I really liked this, as did many other people when it came out. And even though it is white, it doesn't leave your brows looking crusty or weird. So a lot of drugstore companies, I feel like, tried to dupe this, but didn't do it flawlessly. And the brow gels like didn't leave the brows completely like not looking like the color was changed or anything, until I tried this one from MCO Beauty. And I honestly don't know how they get away with this, because it's very similar. Like you see the top brush is like literally the same thing. Let me show you them next to each other. Like they are nearly identical. So if you like the Refi because of the top brush, MCO Beauty, very, very similar, but the product is also very similar too. And I love this brow gel. This is their Brow Laminate Sculpt and Set. So it looks very similar. Again, it is that white color. And you can get this through your brows. Your brows are literally not gonna go anywhere. Like this really does set your brows very well, but it doesn't make them look crunchy, and it doesn't change the color of them either. It's not gonna give them like a weird white or gray cast. They will be set and they're not gonna move. So I really, really like the MCO Beauty. Great, easy, affordable switch to the Refi, because it quite literally, I don't know that I could tell the difference between these two. If I like covered up the labels, I don't know that I'd be able to tell you which is which. All right, next I'm going to curl my lashes real quick, because up next we have a mascara dupe. So this Benefit Fan Fest mascara is really nice. It has like a curved wand to it, like so. And what I like about this is the Fan Fest, like it's supposed to really fan out your lashes, which I do feel like this does. Like it gives a lot of curl and lift to the lashes while also giving volume and length, which I like. It's a mascara that you want to use somewhat sparingly, because I think if you use too much of this, it can very easily get clumpy, which interestingly enough, I also do think about the Drugstore alternative to this. Like they both work very similarly. However, when used like, you know, 1 to 2 coats of it, which is really all you should need from mascara anyways, it does a nice job on the lashes. It's one of those mascaras that's gonna give you a little bit of everything. Length, lift, volume, curl, all that. But very similar to that is the L'Oreal Telescopic Lift. This one, interesting enough, it's a different wand. This doesn't have a curved wand like the Benefit one does, but it does have like a 2-sided wand to it. And this is another one that I would say you can go overboard with this. Don't do more than 2 coats. That's really all you need to get length, lift, and volume, but it works very similarly. Kind of a all-in-one mascara. It's gonna give you a little bit of everything. And if anything, I think this L'Oreal one actually works a little bit better than the Benefit to coat the lashes. Like that's literally like 1 coat. Length, lift, volume, and long lasting curl. What I like about these mascaras is both of them will keep your lashes kind of lifted and curled throughout the day, rather than your lashes kind of like falling down, which I do really like. But yeah, I think this L'Oreal one works very, very similar to the Benefit and would be an easy swap. I don't think you would see really a difference in like your makeup routine if you swapped these 2 out. And both of the ones that I'm using are like the non-waterproof, just regular washable version of those mascaras. Okay, next we have a highlight dupe, which this one I'm excited about because I love this Rare Beauty highlight. This is a beautiful product. I use this all the time, have used it all the time since they came out with these. These are her, I think they're just called highlighters. And in the shade Exhilarate is like my personal favorite. It's absolutely beautiful. So how I like to use this is I apply to my inner corner, right beneath my brow bone. Like even on days like today where I don't have like any eyeshadow or anything, I always like to highlight the inner corner and the brow bone. And then obviously, you know, the face like we normally would. Beautiful, blinding, glowy formula. This is a soft formula. I know people have had problems with these like shattering. I've never had a problem with these shattering on me, and the soft formula I think really gives it like that beautiful kind of glow because it just kind of glides on to the face, doesn't look powdery or anything at all. So this is a beautiful, beautiful product, and I couldn't find a drugstore product that really emulated the same glow that this gave until very recently when I tried these NYX Buttermelt highlighters. These are very, very similar. This one is in the shade Glaze It Butter. So gonna do the exact same thing, inner corner and right beneath the brow bone. Very similar, like bold sort of glow that this is gonna give. I will say the shades on these two are not necessarily the same. It's more so the formulation. They do both come in multiple different shades. They're slightly different in color. It's more about the glow that it gives. What always stuck out to me with the Rare Beauty was how glowy it is without being super glittery or powdery on the face, and it doesn't emphasize texture, which was very hard to find like another alternative that kind of worked in the same way, especially at a lower price point, where NYX did do that with these. They give a lot of glow, but they're not super powdery or glittery, and they don't emphasize texture on the face. Not an exact dupe, but formula-wise quite similar, and that's what really stuck out to me with the Rare Beauty ones is how beautiful the formula is, and I think NYX did a really good job on these new Buttermelt highlighters. They have that beautiful kind of formula that is buttery while still being a powder, because I still love a powder highlight more than a liquid highlight or like cream highlight. I like the powder, but sometimes they can just look too powdery. Okay, last but not least, we have a little lip dupe, but I'm gonna go in and line my lips first. And this next one, I would say, again, affordable alternative, not dupe. Again, I feel like I said this in the beginning, but like dupe is such an overused word, and I'm part of that too. Like, I'm not saying that I'm not, but the purpose of this video is more so like affordable swaps that you can make. These are not necessarily exactly the same product. However, when swapped out as part of your makeup routine, probably not gonna make a significant difference, but although will make a significant difference in your wallet because the price points are different. I love this Tarte Maracuja Juicy Lip Plump, specifically the shade Cherry Blossom. That's my favorite shade. It's like this very light pink, kind of cool toned light pink shade, and looks beautiful on the lips. It's glossy, but also has color to it. One of my most used lip products. I recently tried new from Milani. This is their Keep It Full Glossy Plumping Lip Balm in the shade Ballet, and it is very, very similar. So also like a cool toned light pink, same sort of thing. It has a glossy finish with some color and feels like nourishing on the lips and looks very similar once on. Not exactly the same, pretty close. The Tarte one's on the top, the Milani is on the bottom. They both do have plumping action to them as well. The Tarte one is a little bit more glossy if you see my top lip versus my bottom, but the difference is quite slim, so good option. All right, you guys, that is everything. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will have everything linked down below in the description box if you wanna check anything out. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you very soon in my next video. Bye.